This is the Kick-Ass Geek Cast with your host, Daddy Warpig. I am back. That's right. Welcome to the Kick-Ass Geek Cast for October 30th, 2014. Once again, we've got a show jam-packed with information that you need to know and commentary that you're going to love. You can follow me online at Twitter at daddy_warpig, at daddy_warpig. This show comes to you live from the House of Geekery. You can read that online too. daddywarpig.com, daddywarpig.com. But wait, you say, I've listened to your show, every single episode, you say, because it's just that good. What happened to the WordPress? Isn't it daddywarpig.wordpress.com? Well, my friends, not anymore. As of today, I, your host, have ponied up the cash to register my own domain name for the House of Geekery. I used, of course, the privacy option because I'm not dumb enough to dox myself. Now, because the registration just became active today, it may take a couple of days for it to propagate to all the high-level domain name servers. But for me, from the House of Geekery, when I checked it out, it worked just fine, and it was glorious. So starting in a couple of episodes, that's the link we'll be putting in the notes underneath the show. daddywarpig.com, the man, the myth, the legend, the blog. Check us out. Today's show, and it's a really, really good show, has to begin with an apology to @FartToContinue, who posts in the Gamergate hashtag all the time. He was the source. He was the tip of a show, of a segment yesterday, and I messed up his name. I meant to give him a shout out. I meant to give him some credit. I apologize. That was my mistake. Hopefully we've now corrected that. Also, to let you know, I had another segment ready to go today that, because of some dissension among those who were in the know, I pulled. I don't know the actual truth of it, so I'm not going to go live with it. I'm not going to comment on it. I may be just an amateur YouTube radio talk show host, but I have more integrity than Gawker or Vox or most of the other major gaming news sites that the consumer revolt currently occupying the Gamergate hashtag has rebelled against. That's my promise to you. If I don't know the truth, if I know that there's some dissension, I'm not going to run with a segment, even if I think it's important. And I was angry at this. I was passionate about this, but I'm going to do my homework before I run with it. Speaking of people too damn lazy to do their homework, MTV News. I'm going to pause for just half a second to let you stop laughing before I continue. The phrase MTV News has always made me smile, even back in the day when MTV was about music videos, and I actually watched. It made me smile. Of course, one of the MTV News anchors has gone on to a Kurt Loder has gone on to quite a career as a movie critic at the Libertarian Reason magazine. I haven't read a lot of his movie reviews, but apparently he does a really good job of doing, well, pretty close to objective movie reviews that are made with the audience in mind and not, you know, kissing the ass of other movie critics that make you seem smart. So, games journalists, maybe you can talk to Kurt Loder and get a few tips on doing reviews that are not quote unquote objective or perfectly objective, but quotes that, you know, will help you understand the point of view of your audience and will help you make a review, write a review that will help your audience. So despite the fact that a respectable person came out of MTV News, I have generally found it to be, well, I think unreliable would be rating them too highly. So out of this unreliable source today comes a headline so awesome I just had to share. MTV News, gaming section, so you know what it's going to be about. Gamergate suffers ultimate defeat. Anita Sarkeesian appears on the Colbert Report. Yep, ultimate defeat. Not a setback, not a defeat, but the ultimate defeat, which puts me in mind of an old fighting game, Ultimate Combo, because apparently, according to MTV News, that was Killer Instinct, by the way, according to MTV News, Sark, who is coincidentally a villain in the Alias TV series and a villain in Tron, so that's the name I'm using, Sark. Sark's appearance on the Colbert Report was an ultimate combo to pros. And I use the word pro because that means pro gamer, pro gaming, pro ethics. That's those of us involved in this Consumer Report. He starts Kevin P. Sullivan, who is no doubt a wonderful and lovely person that you would just be so excited to sit next to at dinner. Not insufferable or douchebaggy at all. If you haven't heard, he begins breathlessly, if you haven't heard about Gamergate at this point, you probably should just consider yourself lucky. The topic, which has plagued social media and the r/gaming subreddit for the past few months, dude, you missed, like, the news, MSNBC, CNN. I mean, come on, man. Everybody on the planet is taking a shot at us except maybe Fox News and possibly the Lincoln Gazette in Lincoln, Nebraska, but I'm pretty sure that every other newspaper in the world has covered Gamergate and has a front page story complaining about how we're, and I keep on missing these. I keep on adding new ones to this description, so I'll miss one or two in here. You'll have to forgive me. I'll see how many of them I can get. White, male, straight, pasty-faced, basement-dwelling, neck-bearded, virgin, misogynistic, racist, homophobic, transphobic. I had to pause there for a breath of air. You can see why. Shitlords. I think that's all of them. I think I got nearly all of them. If I missed one, I apologize, but I think I've got all of them. Every newspaper in the country has repeated those same canards. It's not unusual, and yet you don't miss, you missed it. You don't put it in your article. Has finally reached the point, I'm continuing with the article here. Last night, where the nation's greatest political mind, Stephen T. Colbert, had to weigh in. Ooh, I see what you did there, Kevin. I see what you did there. That's mildly amusing. I'll give you that. As Colbert mentions in the segment above, because it's MTV News, they can't actually write a real post. They have to include, clips from the show because they're incapable of describing it using language and prose. So, I'm not playing these because if you cared, you saw it last night and maybe today when they posted it to YouTube. And if you don't care, why are you listening to this show? As Colbert mentions in the segment above, a lot of the Mountain Dew fueled rage of gamers. You can just roll this off your tongue. After a while, you know what they're going to say. It's not surprising anymore. Mountain Dew fueled rage of gamer game. He can't even get it right. It's Gamergate, man. And there should be a hashtag. And the second G should be capitalized, for the love of God. Don't you people have copy editors over there? Real publications, real news divisions have copy editors. Oops, did I let the cat out of the bag? Gamergate targeted one woman and one woman only. No, man, we don't just target one woman, right? We're misogynistic, bearded shitlords. We target all women. Jeez, you can't even get your trolling right. Get on the same page. We're evil, man. We hunt people down at the internet and tweet links to information at them. Man, we're vile. We discuss ethics and journalism. We're the evilest people in the history of the world. If you're going to troll us, at least get the troll talking points written up correctly. You need the memo from Gawker. You need the memo from Vox. I know you're at MTV News and so you're lazy, but at least read the hating Gamergate memo. So we target media critic Anita Sarkeesian, who received death threats because she had the nerve to point out that many mainstream games have a problem with how they portray women. If Gamergate fancies itself the Rebel Alliance, then Anita Sarkeesian is Emperor Palpatine. Yeah. I am so tired of this. Even if we were a group of misogynistic, neck-bearded shitlords, Anita would not be Emperor Palpatine, all right? At best, Sark would be Captain Nita. And who serves whom? That's right, Darth Macintosh. Come on, man. Get with the times. If Emperor Palpatine made really valid observations about the inherent flaws of the Rebel Alliance, well, which is it? Is she making really valid observations about the inherent flaws of those of us who are pro-gamer, pro-gaming, and pro-ethics? Or is she making really valid observations about the inherent flaws of the video game industry? We're not the same thing. You can't even keep your metaphors straight from one paragraph to the next. How the hell did you get this job, MTV News? What am I saying? Anyway, for the second half of his segment on Gamergate, Colbert welcomed Sarkeesian onto his show. So now Sarkeesian has Joss Whedon and Stephen Colbert firmly on her side. I think that's when you've officially lost any argument. Yep, that's it. No, I'm not cutting this off because I've talked too much. I'm cutting this off because that's actually the end of the piece. That's it. That's everything he doesn't write anymore. Kevin P. Sullivan considers that to be a perfect score. That's the ultimate combo. That's it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs, no points, 2 video clips. And he considers that to be proof, absolute ironclad proof, that there has been an ultimate defeat of Gamergate. After 2 months of this, I didn't think my opinion about media journalism could get any lower. And you can't use the whole, oh, well, we're just bloggers excuse, because it's called MTV News, not MTV half-assed blogging on a subject I don't know crap about, okay? Right there, I see the logo. I'm looking at the logo through Archive Today, of course. So I didn't think my opinion about mainstream journalism could get any lower after 2 months of this, but somehow MTV News managed to pull it out. They managed to dive lower than any I've seen. That includes Stephen Colbert himself. The strange thing about this, about the appearance on Colbert, was I called it. I didn't just call it last night. I called it weeks ago on the night of the first MSNBC interview of Brianna. Someone said, hey, Jon Stewart will pull us out. Stephen Colbert will help us. And I said, nope. Nope. Don't expect help direction. Don't expect help from that quarter. If you am yearly, I was so sure of this that last night I made a bet with a fellow pro, which was a promise that if, in point of fact, Stephen Colbert successfully undermined Sark's position or showed her up, that I would abase myself before him on this show. I would embarrass myself by confessing his awesomeness, in front of which I am nothing. But since that isn't what happened on the interview, then, therefore, I don't have to abase myself, because I was right. I called it. The interview, I've tweeted it, I sent it out on Twitter. Not surprised. I mean, he had some decent jokes. I was okay with that. But a joke that depends on people knowing jack crap about Watergate is not going to fly in this day and age, because no one knows what Watergate is to know that Watergate was in Forrest Gump. Okay, that's 10 years ago. Kids 10 years ago might have remembered vaguely hearing that Watergate was in Forrest Gump, but nowadays they don't get the point that when you talk about plumbers from Watergate versus plumbers from Gamergate, with Gamergate you mean Mario and Luigi. Don't get that. I did. I got it. I'm older. I was a political science major at one point, but most people aren't. So the jokes themselves weren't really universal, and most of them were funny, but that exact joke where Mario and Luigi entered the show was when it went downhill. Because after that, well, I don't even have to play clips. I don't have to play a sound clip, because all I need to do is go back to the MTV piece. That's pretty much a retread, a sloppy, half-assed, 6-paragraph, no logic, no argumentation, no copy editing retread of Colbert's entire show. I mean, he may as well have sat there and said he didn't even keep up his shtick. And you know his shtick, if you've ever seen the show before. He pretends to be a right-winger so he can make fun of right-wingers, which is fine. I'm not complaining about that. But that's his shtick. He couldn't even keep his shtick up through the entire show. He was so eager, or segment, he was so eager to kiss Sark ass that he dropped his character. He may as well have been sitting there saying, so, How awesome are you and all your videos? And Sark looks back at him and smiles and says, so awesome. That's it. That's the entire segment. Him saying, aren't you just the best, most intelligent, prettiest girl I've ever met? And her saying, I'm the smartest media critic you've ever met. Yes, you are. We love you, Sark. We want to worship you, Sark. We want to build idols and slaughter goats in your name. And if we can't find any goats, we'll find some of those misogynistic shit lords to slaughter at the altar for you. That was it. So people asked me. They asked me even before the show went live. I went into the YouTube page where the show would appear in 7-8 hours, and people had already gone into the comments and were asking questions about the interview, wanting to know what I thought. By the way, quick reminder, we're on every night for half an hour, 7 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I put up that page early on so I can get the link, so I can send out the link to people so they know where to go and know when to be ready. You can come on, you can make comments, but the show still won't start until that clock is done counting down. In any case, the people in the comments were asking me my opinion on the Colbert Report, and my opinion on the Colbert Report is, what changed? There's nothing new. It's the exact same garbage they've spewed for months. In fact, they went back to previous garbage spewing morons in the media and did a supercut, a condensed version of garbage spewing insanity, a condensed version of slander and libel and all of the trash that's been thrown at us, and that's what they showed. It is not surprising to me that that happened, but I'm not sure what other opinion you wanted me to have. The one moment that I didn't get a chance to tweet because I was trying to finish up my previous one that was the most beautiful was when he asked her, name 3 sexist games. Now, I myself do not agree with the things that Sark says in her videos because she's wrong and possibly just a little bit nuts. So I don't agree with what she says, but at the same time, even I could have come up with 3 sexist video games just based on what I've heard over the last couple of months. If I wanted to be really lazy, I could lay back in my chair and toss out Bayonetta 2. Easy, right? We've talked about it. As in pros, not necessarily we on the show. Bayonetta 2. Grand Theft Auto 5, for the love of God, how can you not remember that? Do you remember the controversy over Grand Theft Auto 5? Oh, shock. Oh my gosh. Grand Theft Auto 5 lets you pay money to hire hookers, then kill the hookers and get half the money back. Oh, the world is destroyed. How do you not remember that? I could remember that. I am remembering that. This is a live show. This is not a script I'm reading off of. This is my mind working faster than yours, Sark. It's embarrassing. You literally do this for a living. Somebody calculated the insane amount of money she gets on every single second of video, and I'm not going to quote it to you because I can't remember the exact figure, but it was incredible based on how much money you got in the Kickstarter, how much she gets paid per second of video. It was insane. So we have Bayonetta 2, sexist because apparently flashes of nudity. I don't own a Wii U. I don't know. See, that's how little effort I have to put into this. I don't even own the console. I don't even play the game. And I know people were angry because it was sexist. Bayonetta 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, and I'll just throw another easy one out there because somebody else in the literalese was upset about it. Assassin's Creed 4, which was sexist because prostitutes, which was sexist because masculinity, toxic, blah, blah, blah. But mostly it was sexist because there wasn't a playable main character who was female. You see how hard that is? You see how excruciating that is? How difficult it is for someone who is not supposedly, ostensibly an expert in sexism in video games to come up with 3 recent examples from the last couple of years. For the love of God, if we wanted to get difficult about it, we could go back to Custer's Revenge. And yet, she couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. He tossed it out there. It was just a quick little jab. They both laughed about it, went on. She tried to deflect, but I'm sitting there rubbing my formerly bearded chin, thinking, hey, she just muffed that question. Isn't that supposed to be her entire life? Doesn't this define who she is? Huh. Well, isn't that funny? So that's my opinion on the interview. Nothing. Sark making a massive fool of herself. Nothing. Same old. That's it. Same old. And yet, at the same time, apparently it's enough for MTV News to declare an ultimate combo against the consumer revolt. Thanks for pitching in, MTV News. You are exactly as professional, exactly as competent, exactly as awesome as we have come to expect from the mainstream media. We are so getting down to the wire here. We have virtually no time left. There are a couple of things I wanted to talk about that I'm just not going to get to today, so I'm going to have to bump that for tomorrow because there is one thing I wanted to talk about. I have, for the last couple of episodes, been discussing allies of our consumer revolt who do not get highlighted a lot. And the last minutes of the show, I want to talk about one specific group that I had. Again, this is something I'd meant to talk about 2 days ago, didn't have a chance to, ran out of time. I want to talk about Milgamers. Now, you may not know what Milgamers are. They're a lot like Mil bloggers, only for gaming. Okay, you don't know what mil blogging is. These are military people, soldiers, active or retired. I know you don't ever become an ex-Marine. Believe me, I know. Just go with it, okay? We're talking to civilians here. Active duty or retired who play video games and who are quite interested, very interested, keenly interested in the outcome of Gamergate, in the outcome of this crusade to get video games journalists to adopt a code of ethics, to get them to stop abusing their audience and to get them to stop pushing their ideology on us in reviews. We have seen prominent pros who are Mil gamers. Roguestar, coincidentally, the gentleman to whom I would have been abasing myself to had Stephen Colbert done something entirely shocking and, you know, acted like a real journalist and not a suck-up. Roguestar, whose name may or may not be Slade Valena, also Foxagon. Both of them are no longer on active duty. Both of them heavily involved, and it does not stop with them. I got word from military people that they do, in point of fact, support Gamergate and are, in point of fact, interested in the issue. They, for the most part, just aren't public about it. Like the conservatives I spoke about yesterday, the members of Breitbart, staffers on the Glenn Beck show and such, they are heavily involved, but not necessarily hugely public about it. And I'll tell you why in the closing minute of the show. When they're on deployment overseas in a war zone and they have time off, what do they do? Normally you'd expect bars or whatever, but there isn't any bars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and they're kind of dangerous to go to anyway, and liquor isn't encouraged, to say the least, on a military base in a war zone. So what do? They read science fiction and fantasy books and other novels and have become quite big fans of people who get military terminology and guns and all of those other nitty-gritty technical details right. They play pen and paper role-playing games or pencil and paper role-playing games. I am given to understand that Shadowrun is a big favorite overseas, or was. So is Dungeons and Dragons, and they also play video games. And this is going to shock you, so hold on to your seats. Soldiers don't primarily play games like Depression Quest and Gone Home. They like games like Call of Duty or Gears of War or other competitive multiplayer games. That's what they do to relax. That's what they do to unwind. And so when you tell Milgamers that there is a movement out there to ban games like Gears of War, to ban games like Call of Duty, they are keenly interested in the outcome of that conflict. So for me, this was an eye-opener, and I hope for you this is an eye-opener to realize that you have more allies than you know. You have allies in places you would never have expected. You have allies who are doing their best to help, and you don't even know it. So when you look around and you feel dispirited, you feel like you're alone, that nobody is helping you, realize that there are people involved who you don't expect to be, who don't trumpet their involvement. And as long as people keep on sending emails, this consumer revolt will win. I am your host, Daddy Warpig. This is the Kick-Ass Geek Cast for October 30th, 2014. Read the blog at the House of Geekery, daddywarpig.com. Once again, daddywarpig.com. And you know the shilling is coming, so here's the shilling. For the love of heaven, if you like the show, click the up thumb or subscribe to the channel. Retweet to your friends, send it out on Facebook or Google+. Share the sheer joy that you feel when you listen to the show. Share it with those who will appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at daddy_warpig, at daddy_warpig. I am your host. And if you haven't learned by now, I will be back.